I'm thinking I'm back.
Every legend begins with a story. But this one was born from real pain and a bullet that killed a man's best friend. Welcome to Scene Diary. Today, we're diving deep into the world behind John Wick, a film that started as a simple revenge story and became one of the most stylish and beloved action franchises of all time. But what if I told you that John Wick was inspired by a true event? A story that began not in Hollywood, but in Texas. Former Navy SEAL Marcus Luttrell, the real-life hero whose book Lone Survivor became a movie, once went through a tragedy that changed him forever. In 2009, 4 men broke into his property and killed his Labrador puppy named Daisy. Devastated and furious, Luttrell grabbed his gun, chased them across 4 counties, and didn't stop until the police caught them. When asked about it later, he said, "I forgave them, because I've already killed enough people." That real-life story lit the spark that would eventually grow into John Wick. Originally, the film wasn't even called John Wick. Its first title was Scorn. But something interesting happened. Keanu Reeves fell so deeply in love with the script that he started telling everyone, "I'm working on a movie called John Wick." He repeated it so often that the producers finally said, "You know what? Let's just call it that." But who was John Wick? The name wasn't random. It was actually a tribute to screenwriter Derek Kolstad's grandfather, whose name was John Wick. Kolstad said his grandfather found it cool that his name was being used for a legendary hitman, and honestly, who wouldn't? Now, here's where the story behind the camera gets even more fascinating. When Kolstad first wrote the script, he didn't imagine Keanu Reeves in the role. His first choice? Paul Newman. At the time, the script was still called Scorn, and Kolstad pictured a 60-year-old retired assassin, a man long past his prime, dragged back into violence one last time. But then Keanu Reeves read it and said, "I want to play this character, but as a 35-year-old. That changed everything. Kolstad was surprised, but also thrilled. He knew this version would bring new life to his story. And so John Wick was reborn. The directors Chad Stahelski and David Leitch, both former stunt coordinators, took charge of the film. But because of Hollywood's Directors Guild rules, only Stahelski could be officially credited. Still, Reeves trusted them completely. After all, they had worked together before, back on The Matrix, where Stahelski had been Keanu's stunt double. Reeves knew they understood action, precision, and timing better than anyone else. The directors didn't just make an action film. They built a mythology. They created the Continental, a mysterious hotel where assassins could rest under sacred rules of neutrality. The hotel's concierge, played by the late Lance Reddick, was named Karen, after the ferryman from Greek mythology who carries souls across the river Styx in exchange for coins. In the movie, assassins pay with gold coins, too, a direct nod to that myth. Even John's tattoo, Fortis Fortuna Adiuvat, Latin for "fortune favors the brave," carries meaning. It's a common motto among elite military units, hinting that Wick was once a soldier long before he became a ghost in the criminal underworld. During filming, actor Michael Nyqvist, who played the mob boss Viggo Tarasov, suffered a nasty head injury. If you notice he wears a hat in some scenes but not others, that's why. He needed stitches, and instead of halting production, they simply made the hat part of his character's look. And of course, everything begins with Daisy, the dog. The heart-wrenching moment when Daisy is killed sets John on his bloody path. But did you know the studio almost removed that scene? Lionsgate executives worried audiences would react negatively to seeing harm come to an animal. But when test audiences saw the final cut, their reaction shocked everyone. The moment Daisy died, the theater went silent. And then, when John Wick started hunting the killers, everyone was on his side. That's when the filmmakers knew they had found the perfect emotional trigger. Alfie Allen, who played Iosef Tarasov, the spoiled son who kills Daisy, prepared for his role by spending time in Russian bathhouses in New York to study the accent and mannerisms. Keanu Reeves, meanwhile, trained harder than ever. For 4 months, he immersed himself in judo, jiu-jitsu, firearms, and tactical movement, even working with Navy SEALs and SWAT teams. His instructors said, "We've rarely seen even real soldiers reload and aim as fast as Keanu did." But not everything was smooth behind the camera. Filming in New York came with strict regulations. No real blank bullets allowed, limited car speeds, and heavy restrictions on pyrotechnics. That meant most muzzle flashes were digitally added later, and even the car chases had to be choreographed with extreme caution. The nightclub scene, one of the film's most iconic sequences, was shot while Keanu Reeves had a fever. He learned the entire fight choreography that same day, and still delivered one of the most fluid and brutal performances of his career. In fact, Reeves performed nearly 90% of his own stunts throughout the movie. At nearly 50 years old, he was still rolling, flipping, and fighting like a man half his age. His secret? Ice baths. After long shooting days, Keanu would soak in a tub chilled to just 3 degrees Celsius. "It helped my body recover," he said. "I learned it during The Matrix, but for this film, I needed it more than ever." John Wick's fighting style wasn't random. It was a blend of judo and traditional Japanese jiu-jitsu, known for its throws and joint locks, mixed with tactical gunplay. By contrast, his opponent Ms. Perkins uses Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Their hotel room fight showcases real martial arts techniques like the Kimura shoulder lock and chokeholds, pure technical brilliance captured on screen. One deleted scene even showed John repairing old books, hinting that under all the blood and rage, he still had a quiet, human side. Even small cameos held meaning. The doctor who patches up Wick after his fight? That's Randall Duck Kim, the same actor who played the Keymaker alongside Keanu in The Matrix Reloaded. And John Wick's real name, Jardani Jovanovic. Jardani comes from Hebrew, meaning from the garden. Jovanovic is Serbian for son of John. So his name literally means John's son, a poetic touch that deepens his mysterious past. When characters call him Baba Yaga, they're not exactly calling him the boogeyman. In Slavic folklore, Baba Yaga is actually a witch who lives in a hut with chicken legs, a terrifying yet wise figure. So calling Wick Baba Yaga means more than fear. It's respect, the kind you give to a force of nature. 2 vintage Mustangs were used during filming, and both were treated like sacred artifacts. No one was allowed to damage them. In the airport driving scene, Keanu himself was behind the wheel for 85% of the shots. But for one hair-raising stunt, a professional driver took over. Even the massive bodyguard played by Kevin Nash was spared because of a clever moment. When Wick tells him, "You've lost some weight," and Nash replies, "Yeah, about 60 pounds, that was actually a coded exchange." Wick was asking how many enemies were inside, and Nash's answer saved his life. And before every fight, have you noticed Wick turns his watch face inward? That's a real military technique. It prevents reflections from revealing your position and allows quick time checks during combat. In one scene, Wick is seen reading Shibumi, a 1970s novel about a retired assassin drawn back into violence. Even the famous pencil story comes straight from that book, a subtle homage for those who notice. And look closely at the computer screen during the safe house scene. You'll see a username, Neo, a hidden Easter egg linking back to The Matrix. When John Wick finally hit theaters, no one expected it to succeed. It wasn't a franchise. It wasn't backed by a massive studio. It was just a $20 million action movie starring a man people thought was past his prime. but it went on to earn over $88 million worldwide and ignite one of the most influential action sagas ever made. A story of grief, vengeance, and redemption. All born from one man, one dog, and one promise. Thank you for watching Scene Diary. If you enjoyed uncovering the hidden stories behind cinema's greatest moments, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, stay curious.